this it seems like this song, this one, boy. Woo-hoo!
You've been working, man.
I've done a lot, dude. I've done a lot of stuff, man. But this one, this has been a labor of love, dude.
What's up, everybody? I'm Juan Ecker of Ecker's Records, back at it again with behind the scenes, how the sausage is made. Everybody wants to know what the food is like, what kind of food you eat, but they don't really know how it's done. So we use that metaphor with music. You love a good song, but you never know how it's done or how it's made. So this episode, I'm gonna be working with a guy that I went to school with. His name is Dr. Forrest McFeeters. I had to put the doctor on. He is a doctor, but he's showing you some things of how he groups some of his tracks, and because like I said, we do different styles. So I asked him, well, how do you do all of that, and how do you do your grouping? So he said, yeah, let me show you. And then I said, hey, let's record it. Let's get a show out of it. So we talk back and forth all the time on different things with music and figuring out the music industry. No real right way to do a song or write a song, but we have to figure things out as we go and try to make it happen with everything we have. But yeah, man, get into this episode. It's a good long episode as far as details of how you can get your music to sound better on his perspective. And I have some for mine. And like I said, everyone does it different. There are some industry standards, but there are some things that you can just do on your own. You know, the more you practice, the better you get. And so, yeah, let's get into it. All right.
And I'm working on the video right now too. Hold on, let me show you right quick.
Okay.
I'll show you right quick just to get a little bit of taste of it. It's out of control. All right, here we go. I'm making it like Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So hold up, let me share. All right, it's gonna be crazy when I get it done. All right, here's a piece of it. I did the characters in AI. Can you see all this?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, let's see. Let me zoom this in. Cause CapCut's not my. I'm a Final Cut Pro person. CapCut's not my strength, but the CapCut's got all the new effects and stuff. But anyway, here it is.
Okay.
It's coming.
They drew lines to break us, closed bows to shake us, said wait your turn like freedom's borrowed. Forgot that we turned pain into power. Martin said that our bends toward justice, and we gonna bend it at the polls. Just watch, trust us. So when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling small, remember Obama said, yes we can. So rise up, stand tall. They'll try to dim my light, but we will ignite when we all vote. It's our future we've got to fight.
Vote, so vote when we all vote.
We rise up.
Vote, when we all vote.
We size up.
Vote, when we all vote.
We have the power.
Vote, when we all vote.
This is our hour.
Vote,
So when you're feeling
that's
tired, when you're feeling small, remember.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's what I got. So
That's hot. That's hot.
it's gonna be crazy, right?
I'm waiting. You got to get this out. Oh, for the ones that's gonna be watching. He's I asked. This is Forrest McFeeters, by the way, and I'm gonna introduce you to my other thing too. But
Yeah.
he's gonna demonstrate some things to me as far as how he groups some of his tracks together and put some goes through sub channels, and I do my mixing a little different. So he's gonna show me what he does. And like I told people before, there's no real right way to record. You got to make it sound good. As long as it sounds good to you and everybody else, it's good. But this song he's demonstrating is a song about getting out to vote. Everybody has to get out and vote. This
Absolutely.
is midterm 2026. It's got to get done, man. This
Yeah,
is
man.
imperative.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. So
That's
yeah,
nice.
a
That
little
was nice. I love that.
yeah, man, it's gonna be crazy when it's done. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I decided to go Schoolhouse Rock for the young kids that aren't familiar with Schoolhouse Rock. People in our generation in the 70s, we grew up on Saturday morning cartoons, and one of the things that informed and educated us about civics, history, math was these vignettes that they would do every Saturday morning, and sometimes they come on during the week. They were like 2 minutes to 5 minutes. It had some real soulful music, and it was all cartoon based, and it was called Schoolhouse Rock. And I know personally that's how I learned what a bill was. Remember, I'm just a bill.
Just a bill.
That's what I learned. Conjunction junction. What's your function? So I said, you know what? I'm speaking to the generation that grew up and got motivated to learn. So what better way not to honor this song and to honor voter education and voter motivation than to use the tools that we had back in the day to motivate children. So this is kind of me just going back to 1975, 1985 and pulling that out, you know?
That's cool, man. And then you got Sandra Bland and all those guys. Man, that is hot. I love that.
Every chorus is going to be devoted to people who were wronged by the system, you know? Right. So I was like, man, I got to do that. Anyway, so I can't wait for that to get done. I'm trying to get that done as soon as I get this done. And so here we are. I was just telling you earlier, I'm on my last edits. I think I just finished what I consider to be the last edits of this song. We started this conversation because you asked me how many tracks do I usually have, and I told you I have probably over 100 tracks, but this one's a small one. I only have 68 in this one.
Only 68.
Only 68, right? Now, can you imagine back in the day when we first started? You know, we were mixing, you know, maybe 16 tracks, right? When you and I went to school, we were on a 24 track board, right? In the studio, and we would kill to have an SSL board with 128 tracks.
That's right. And it cost a lot of money to get to that, too.
But back then it was cost prohibitive. There was no way we could get access to this many tracks in a mix, man. No. And we always wondered, how did they get that big sound? It's because they had big songs. You know, we grew up on the Earth, Wind and Fires when they had, you know, just instruments everywhere. And this song was actually inspired. I was inspired by Earth, Wind and Fire. Again, hearkening back to the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. I wanted to pull that sound, that big old sound, into a time such as this. So here's what I have. Again, you asked, how many tracks do you have? So, and it started off like, what do you do with your drums? So that was the conversation we had when we last spoke. The way I do my drums is I don't just leave the drums the way they are. I do something called parallel compression and bouncing and using effects on top of those parallel compressed files. So I bounce all of the files from the drums into their own file again, and then I do it again. And so if we start and we just listen to the soloed original drum set, let's go here. So that's a good sound, you know, it's a good solid sound. But with so many tracks, you want it to stand on top of everything else. You know, with R&B music, with black music, we always like our beat to be prominent, right? Even in old school stuff, we want the beat to kick you in the teeth, right? So when I first started mixing, I learned early on how, like, asking the question, how do they get these beats so big? And it's something called parallel compression. So what you do is you take this group, these, there you go. So my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces of the drum set. And I do what's called a sum track. And that summing is basically like a parallel compression track. So all of these stems, that's what we call them, go to this track right here. So if I select that, go to my mixing board, it's right here. So there's my group. It's called a track stack. And there's my group. And they all are bussed through bus 17 right there to this stack. And so what I do is I put these effects on all of them. So I'm going to mute these effects and play back. Hear how soft that sounds, right? But when you group them all together and you start putting effects on them, EQ, compression, a little more compression, it gets bigger.
It's big, I can hear it.
Yeah, and then this is a very special effect called envelope. And when you think about the characteristics of a sound, you have, and we learned this back in the day, you have attack when the sound hits, you have decay, how long the sound plays. You have release, right? So attack, decay, sustain, and release. So ADSR. And what this does is it puts a curve on that ADSR. And it gives you control over how hard the attack hits, how long the sound durates for, and then releases. And then you can adjust these independently. It's like having a tiny little mixing board over the drum set. And so I got my own little setting. I call it Mo Drums FMC, right? And so when I click this baby, this is the one that takes it from here on top of here, because you're giving it another envelope. It's called an envelope of an ADSR on top of the original. And then when you click that, when you turn that on, you really hear the difference. So here's without it, and here's with it. Right? And you can even see how much it gave it like 10 decibels almost, 15 decibels. It's the -6, and it's made it a +8.9. So right in your face, right? And so that's just the track stack. And so now that's still not enough for me. I want it to still be bigger. So what I do is I do what's called a parallel compression. And the parallel compression, so that's my track stack, is when I bounce all of these out, and then I have another parallel stem on top of that one. So let's play that. Even more sound, right? And that gives it color and character. And that's it right here. And so what I did is I took another compressor called an X-Rack from Neuro Audio, and they have these different plugs where they allow, it's called a lift. So they give you color. So the tone part is where all the color comes in. So you got your sub, your low, your mid, and they give it a lot of nice little high on the top. All right, they give it some more dynamics, and they give it something called tape saturation. Because remember back in the day, we mixed on a 2-track tape, right? Right. People still do it, but they don't do it as much anymore because everything is digital. But now they have these emulations, these computer replications of 2-inch tape, and that's what this saturate is. Mm-hmm. And then what it does is just gives it a smooth analog warmth to it. Right. So that's the first parallel compression.
I was saying my plug-in like that is called Xbox. What was yours called?
This X-Rack. So yeah, Neuro Audio has a suite of X stuff. So I have X-Rack, and if you come over here to audio units, Neuro Audio, you see all the X stuff. So you have Xbox, and I put that on my vocals. I have X-Rack, and the only ones I own are Supernova, which is their reverb and delay, X-Rack, and Xbox, and X-Rider. I don't own any of the rest of them. Those are the ones I use mostly, but you can get the whole suite for you about $200. Those are the only ones I really need. And this template, I think I told you last time, is a Neuro Audio template. It's their R&B template, and we'll get to that in a second. All right, so first parallel compressor I call Power Drums Fatso envelope. The reason why I call it Fatso is because Fatso is a plugin that is very popular, and it looks like this. And it's just another compressor. And you might remember that Dr. Tanner had this back in the studio in the day. This, if it looks familiar to you, it's just a compressor. It's a tape simulator and a compressor. So I'm really passionate about this, and I went online. I said, what is the Logic equivalent to Fatso? And I got this book back there that I have, and I wrote down all of the equivalents in Logic to the Fatso, and I have it right here. Where is it? Full kit, Power Drums, Fatso, yeah. And so they said, well, set up an API, this one, and set up a linear EQ, and set up a compressor. But I think I've taken it out because sometimes I just take things out the way it sounds. But I use these plugins to emulate the Fatso, and that's the first parallel compression. right? This one. And so then I did another one called Drums Lift. So I just basically what I did is I bounced out all these again, and it's the same thing, and it sounds like this. So it's just a little more crispiness, right? Let's take them off so you can hear the difference. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
The track stack, Fatso, Drums Lift. It's subtle, but it's there.
It's there.
And it all adds lift and just takes the track above everything else, you know? And when you play it together.
They drew lines to break us, closed poles to shake us, said wait your turn like freedom's borrowed.
And so that's pretty much my go-to process for mixing. I have a group of things, I squish them together, I put effects on top, rinse, repeat again, rinse, repeat again. And like for instance, down here with my choirs, a group of vocals. That's all it is a group of vocals, right? And I summed them together, same thing. And I call it choir backs for choir backgrounds. You come over here, track stack, and on this one I put a channel EQ, Xvox, your Xvox. I have something called Butch Vig, and Butch Vig is he's this guy in the industry. He makes his own plugin. So I use this a lot, and it's got a lot of nice presets that you can use. A lot of nice stuff. All these different things you can put on the vocals. And so I put Butch Vig down there. I put Xvox on there, channel EQ, and a gate. Always do a gate because with vocals, you always have that stuff in the background. You want to gate that out, right? And I always have a gate on my vocals. So if we solo those and go.
Vote silver when we are both. Vote when we are both. Vote.
So let's get rid of the track stack.
Vote when
That's how
we
they
are
originally
both.
sound.
Vote when we are both.
And when I put the solo of the track stack,
Vote when we are both.
Yeah.
and then here's my paras. Here's my paras. Same thing. I'm doing the same thing over again. So I have two paras. I had two choirs, well, two sets of vocalists. One was a group called MIDI Tunes out of Nigeria. That's these guys. And then the girl I always record with named Elan Noel, she came back and layered. And so I have their para. Let's turn Elan off.
I can hear their accent too.
Yeah, you can hear it.
When we are both. Vote when we are both.
Yeah, I love their articulation because it almost sounds like a child, you know? And I want this song to sound like children telling the adults, hey, do the right thing, you know? And that's why I went with the children. And then I had Elan to come in with her power vocals in the background. Again, group, stack, right? And then I parallel compress. Same thing. I just keep doing it over and over again to make a big sound. Let's go here.
Vote silver when we are both. Vote when we are both.
You can see all the stuff I have here.
Vote when we are both.
And so if you look, you'll notice that I have my let's get rid of these guys. I have my buses. So the MIDI tunes is going all to 20. Here's 20. And I got my channel EQ, X5, da-da-da-da-da. Elan is going to her stack, which is 25. And all I put on her was an X Rider. Elan's voice is so crisp. Oh, I really don't need to do anything to her, so I just put a little channel EQ on her. I just, and turn her up and let the magic fly. Right. And I put my X Rider. X Rider is basically like if somebody were riding the fader,
I see that.
Yeah, that's all it really is. It's like an automatic, fader ride. It just like when it gets too loud, you pull it back. When it gets too soft, you pull it up, and it just does it automatically. And so only thing I did was clean her up. You know, it's standard. Now, you did say earlier that there's no right way to do it. You're right, but there are some industry standard things that you have to do when you mix.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And some of those things are like getting rid of the low end on vocals. You don't need this stuff with vocals. You don't need anything under 100 hertz, because it could be rumble, it could be breathing, it could be stuff you just don't need. What you want is the crispiness of the voice. So what I have in my vocals, you'll notice they all have what's called a high pass. Well, yeah, the high pass, letting all the high go through on these. I take out the bottom. I take out the bottom. Take out the bottom.
Okay.
Take out the bottom. Take out the bottom. Take out
Yep.
all my vocals. So
And let me clarify that too.
yeah,
So, I meant to. I'm glad you said that. So, for anybody listening, there's no right or wrong way to write a song. As in, you have to write the vocals first, or you have to get the bass line first, or you
Right.
have to get this. You got it. So you can arrange it any way you like, and make it sound good. But like you said, when you are recording, you have to have some kind of procedure. You can't have your bass rumbling way up here and everything is muffled underneath. So you have to know how to mix a little bit and get everything balanced right and make it sound good. So I'm glad you said that. Clarification. Good.
people have degrees in, I mean, years of degrees in what we're talking about here, and
Yep.
they're basically just best practices. You know, they're industry standard best practices, and who knows, what I'm explaining could be off a little bit, but it's based on best practices. It's based on doing the right thing, you know, and chopping off the bottom base of your vocals is the industry best practice, because if you don't, you're going to deal with this later. Because what you're wanting to do is you want to get the cleanest sound and you want to turn it up. That's mixing. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a drum. I don't care if it's a vocal. I don't care if it's a horn. The best practice of any mixing is getting the cleanest sound possible and turning it up. That's our job. And where you put that in relationship to other things is the difference between an amateur and a professional, or an amateur and somebody who's been doing it the right way. So that's just, you know, little soapbox stuff. And with that said, when you're dealing with EQing, these frequencies are the place where things rest. I call it like a neighborhood. Like, for instance, all of your high stuff lives in this area, like your percussion, your tambourines, your hi-hats, your overheads, you know, your flutes, sopranos, singers, strings. They live over here. The natural human voice lives in this area between 300 and I'd say 3,000, right? A bass guitar or sub bass lives down here, right? And your kick drum lives in this area. So that's parallel equalization, things running in parallel, and you are using the EQ curve to bring out the best stuff in those areas. And that's called EQ placement. So when you place something in the right area, that's your good sound. So if you've got your bass line, your bass, and then you turning up this area, you're going to have some problems. So you want to make sure everybody lives in his own neighborhood. And that's another best industry standard best practice, placing stuff where it belongs. So yeah. So my process for mixing is I clean stuff up. I do EQ placement, EQ correction. I mean, like if there's something like a rumble, I get rid of that. And then I mix over and over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
How
So
many versions of
yeah.
how many versions do you go through
Oh my
typically
God.
on a song? Do you get it right in 2 mixes, or you?
I wish.
Right.
I don't care what nobody says.
Right.
You are not going to get anything right in the first mix. There's always going to be something that you want to fix or something that you didn't work out. So let's answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
Bam. So
Those are the mixes that you've done already.
this is just so. Okay, let me show you something.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I have versions of mixes, not only do I have versions of my mix, I have versions of my mix sessions. So if I come over here to my files, notice I started this song somewhere in May.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just now finishing it, and it's almost the beginning of July, and I have gone through. These are the different. This is just the very beginning. Like I go through phases. So when I'm mixing, the first thing, like when I first write something, and it's just a concept, I call it. Let's say the name of the song is "Vote and Rise Up." Vote and Rise Up concept, because I know it's not the beginning. You know, I've shared stuff with you. I'll say, "Yo, man, this is just the concept." You know, and you'll be like, "Man, I thought that was the end." Nah, dude, I got a whole lot of work to do. I got to bring the musicians in. So that's the concept. The concept phase is just basically like it might be basic chords. It might be a beat that I may never use. It's just I'm just like referencing it. It might not. It might be me singing on it, right? And I'm not a singer, so it might be just me putting your ideas like a draft, right?
Yeah.
So a concept, and then I go to my draft stage, and the draft stage is after the concept has pretty much been massaged to this is what I'm going to do. So I might have 5 concepts. And then I might go to my draft stage, drafts 1, draft 2, draft 3, draft 4, and I'm cleaning that up, right?
Right.
After the drafts, I go to sometimes I call it pre-mix. And you know, because things are getting more and more refined. So like you'll see second mix here, right? And then you'll see stuff like the last versions of my stuff is my last mixing set. I call it sub. Sub meaning submission, meaning this is what I'm going to submit as my master. This is as close to the end as it's going to get. One word I never, ever, ever, ever use is the word final. I don't ever call something final because this comes from old school. Because I remember times you'll have final A, final B, because it won't be the final. You'll think I'm done. And then I'll let Juan hear it. And Juan be like, nah, man, no hi-hats too hard.
Right. And I've talked about that before. Every time I do a mix, I step away and the next day come back and like, that bass is too loud. I got to pull it down. And you just hear different things, different things.
Yeah. So I call what I'll call it sub, or I might call penultimate, meaning the closest to the end. Sub meaning, and like I have my mastering session tomorrow with my mastering engineer. So let me tell you this. The mastering engineer is nice enough to let me have a mix feedback section with him. So I'll send him a pre-mix, and I'll say, "What do you think about this?" And he'll give me all of his advice. Oh, you need to turn your vocals down a little bit in the 300 range. You might want to bring out, like I have notes here from him. So this is from my pre-mix session with him. Vocals have a metallic sound, smooth out, reduce the brashness. Too aggressive. Hi-hat is too excited, smooth out. So this is good information he's given me. Yeah. So before I go into the mastering session, he's like, that's garbage, man. I can't do nothing with it.
Right.
You know, and for those of you who don't know, mastering is the final polish on the 2-track mix. Like when you send something in for mastering, that's like the last step before the release. It's basically like putting a ribbon on top of what you've done. Mastering is not going to save your mix. If your mix is booty going into mastering, it's going to sound like extra loud booty coming out of the mastering.
Right.
Dr. Tanner taught us that back in the day. You know, what you put in is what you get out. No button. They're not going to click any button that's going to magically transform your song. Right. So all the work is done here. And it happens with what I've been showing you, you know, tracking and mixing and parallel compression and paying attention. Yeah. So I'll pause here. What I didn't do last time, Juan, was give you a time for questions. I'm gonna let you ask me questions.
Well, no, you answered pretty much because I was trying to figure out the subbing process because, like I said, when I mix, I'll group drums together and group instruments and group vocals, but then I mix within the group, but I don't bounce them down to a sub track or something like that. I just kind of keep it in the same mix. But I see where, like, when you have a lot of tracks like this, I think you have to. Yeah, mine are not usually that. Even when I have live instruments, I don't usually have that many tracks. And
right.
So
and
the advantage when you can bounce into, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And not only mixing for loudness, mixing for control. Like if you look up here, you see my CPU is like it right about in the third. If I had all these tracks out, my CPU would die. There's no way. You know, because what happens when you bounce something, you take the strain off of the processor because it doesn't have to process those effects. You know, when you bounce something, it doesn't have to do the reverb in that on that snare hit, and it doesn't have to do the compression anymore. You're giving it a little bit of relief. So and saying that, if you look down here in my strings and my guitar, and this is something that I actually got since we met yesterday. I got my guitarist, Mr. Hahn, out in Rotterdam. I was up at 2:30 in the morning with a session with him, man.
Really?
Yeah, he's a beast.
That's another thing to tell about, because these are live instruments. You're getting people from other places to play.
Absolutely,
and send you your stuff, right?
Yes, absolutely. Let me show you my what do I call them? I call them the R3LB, the Red Light Lounge Lizards Band. that's my musicians. I call it Red Light Lounge Lizard Band. Yeah, so I belong to a community called Musiversal, and I highly recommend $199 a month. Yeah. And these guys, they're industry standard musicians, and as you can see, Vote and Rise Up, Han. This guy's in Rotterdam. He did my electric guitar night before last. Luciano, that's my mastering engineer. All these guys are industry people. Jason Park, this dude is incredible. I mean, he's my pianist. You see what I said? Despite overcoming a bad cold, he was snotting all over the place. Man, he was laying it in.
Getting it done.
Getting it done. He had the snots, bro, and he was killing it. He did my organ in my EP. Let me see. Shakers, Jose. Amazing percussionist, man. And I use these guys. $190. It's the best. $199 a month, man, because you have access to industry standard professionals. You got it for 30 minutes a piece. You come in with your charts. You come in with your track, and you say go.
Oh, so they'll be on the session with you.
Yeah, you sitting in there with them, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah. See, I
man.
use something else. Well, basically, it's a Fiverr, and I'll have somebody. You send them the track, and somebody from somewhere across the world he'll play a bass line. He's the guy I use is nasty though. He's really good.
Yeah.
But he sends it back. I didn't know that. Getting in the session with him
Oh.
is a whole different thing.
Dude, and I think I have access to the sets, but I don't know how to get to them.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely send you some video of some of these sets, man, once I'm in them. And this is what Han laid down. Nice stuff. Nice, man.
Yeah, man.
I'll play with the keys. What you gonna do? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no substitute for that finger. There's I don't care. I know, me, we're Gen X. We came up in Earth, Wind, and Fire. We came up with it. That's who we are.
Right.
That's who we are.
And I've done that. I actually try to save a little bit. Let me play this guitar part on a keyboard. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's nothing like the real player, man. It's
Like
nothing
but we are born as human beings to appreciate that. And there's not to be said that I'm not poo-pooing anybody's style or brand of music. There's a lot to be said for the electronics. There's so much you can do with AI. This song was inspired by AI, but I replaced everything in it with human beings. And when you start bringing the humans in, you really start seeing AI can't do this. Maybe in 100 years it will be able to do this. Maybe in 10 years it'll be able to do this. But today, it can't. And I listened to a very wise mix engineer. He said what people are trying to do nowadays is they're trying to outcomputer the computer. For instance, SZA, she said she's at war with AI. She may be because her music is based on electronic and synthesized music. So they're trying to outcomputer the computer. But he said, no, you can't do that. What you can do though is outhuman the computer, and that's where we win. So I will when I get these, if I am inspired by AI, I will replace it and put the humans on it, man. And it just gives it a flavor that AI just can't do.
Yeah.
So that's part of the composition. But what I was going to say is parallel compression and bouncing out these files is not only good for audio, it's good for control. Like, for instance, when Hans sent me these guitars, he didn't just send me one pass, he sent me 5 passes. And so you do what's called a comp. You take the best of each one. You don't do that in this session. I did it in another session that bounced out, and I brought that over here. Same thing with these strings. C mic. And it's like 4 parts for these 3 or 4 parts. And I did that in another session, brought it into this session. So I don't strain the song, you know. And you can even hear that the compressor's having a hard time playing some of this, you know. But the good thing, even though it drops out like that because it's playing it live, when it's all rendered together, it all comes back.
Oh yeah.
So that's pretty much it, man. My process to recap, I clean it up with EQ, clean up all the bad stuff, drop everything that's not needed. That's called EQ correction, and then I EQ to make it sound better for taste, and then I group, parallel compress again, sub stuff down, get the levels right, go through concept phase, draft phase, and then get to my final submission, and then get it mastered.
I appreciate it, man, because this for all my people out there now. Forrest and I went to school together. We came out of the same music program with Dr. Tanner, and we learn different things as we grow and get different. So some of this stuff I did not know, and that's why I asked them, show me. They might as well put it on, let's record it and show everybody. Man. And it's and you always grow, you always learning something new. So nobody knows everything, or you might forget, or you did it before, and now he's developed this process that I don't do. I just don't. So now that's why I asked, well, how do you, when you get all the, hey, show me how you do that. So this is a good thing, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. And what's interesting is these mixing engineers and people in the industry, and they'll make you think they'll have you thinking it's like magic. It's not magic. I learned all of this by Google searching and YouTube videos, and I used to teach it. I have a textbook with it, but it's just information that you can go find. You as a human being can go look in a book, and it's there. And you just have to take the time to pay attention and be patient, and the worst thing you could do is think that you can do this in one shot. You cannot.
Definitely.
You absolutely cannot.
And you're going to always grow and learn. Because even now, we talked about this before. I listen to my old mixes that I've done years ago, and I'm like,
man. Those are lessons learned, boy.
Yeah, I could do so much better now, but back then I thought I was doing something.
Yeah, we both did. We both did, man. We both did. You can't be lazy though. You can go back and listen to yourself, and you can say, yeah, man, you know what? I just didn't know. But everything needs to be a process of refinement. Almost like a sculpture. You're sculpting it and you're making it better and better and better. And we've been doing this for 30 plus years. So, we know what to avoid. Like, we know not to turn the bass up so loud. We know not to have your sub cranking or your snare popping and all that. You got to mix in moderation. We know to do that. That comes with experience. And again, I'm only an expert in the fact that I've done this over and over and over again. There are people that can mix way better than me, and I'll be sitting there watching them and learning.
Yeah.
But as far as what works for me, this right here does.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Just to give a little quick history, when we were in school, we were learning on a DAW, digital audio workstation. I think we were on Pro Tools in Dr. Tanner class.
Yeah.
But we appreciate Dr. Tanner teaching us the older style,
Yes.
where we had to literally slice tape. If you wanted to make a short version, you had to put the tape on this machine, a special
that
machine.
razor.
Razor blade. You had to mark it, put the razor blade on, and literally tape 2 pieces. You had to cut this.
You had those reels in your hand. You go
and tape, yeah, and get the right spot. You got to be the right spot.
Right spot, man.
Slice it with a razor,
Woo!
and then to get a special tape just for those audio tapes. And man, we had to learn on that. We recorded on 2-inch, not digital, 2-inch, what is
2-inch tape. Yeah,
2-inch tape. Man, we learned old and new, and then of course since then everything's we didn't have all of this stuff,
right?
You know?
Well, I mean, you know, there's this meme that's going around. So the reason why Gen X is so frustrated is because we started with 2-inch tapes and then 8-track tapes, and then went to vinyl, and then you took that away from us, and then we went to cassettes. You took that away from us. Went to mini disc. You took that away from us. CD took that away from us. It's like we've been playing catch up. So one thing I say about Gen X, man, we are the most resilient and bounce back generation, because so many things have been changed and we've had to adapt to learn these technologies, man. And like you said, it all came from the old school analog gear, and you have to have an appreciation for that. And Dr. Tanner was insistent that we learn on that old stuff. And matter of fact, back then we didn't have this yet, right? We didn't have it.
Yeah.
There was no Pro Tool. I mean, I think so. The DAWs we had, there was Pro Tools, but it wasn't audio. You could not record audio. It was MIDI. It was and it was used to control the devices in your rack.
Right.
And then that MIDI, which is musical instrument digital interface, it only sent out information to what was called God, I can't remember. It was a device that sent out audio, right? And you had MIDI cables in the back, and that device sent those modules. The modules sent that audio back into your tape machine, your record tape machine, and you had to sync up the tape machine, the module, and that DAW, which was MIDI, to record your stuff into, or you had to call somebody in to play along with it.
Right.
There were no onboard plugins and audio files and samples that we could use, right?
Right.
I remember when Dr. Tanner got the Lindrum. Remember the Lindrum?
Oh,
And we was like, oh my God, we got a drum machine.
Because he did mostly live
Yeah.
himself. And then he got the drum machine in. Yeah, man.
We thought that Lindrum was manna from heaven, boy. Woo! Everybody wanted to get on the Lindrum.
That was the first time. It was the biggest thing we could get. And you know, that stuff back then cost a lot of money.
Thousands of dollars. And that Lindrum, he had the first Lindrum, and it was not MIDI. We had to play. We had to make patterns and sync them up ourselves with SMPTE, the SMPTE code. Like it was in the code, and it was started. It was a start and stop. That was it. Start and stop.
It was crazy, man.
And then he got the upgrade. He got that and got MIDI put in it, so you could actually do MIDI. Man, we have had a long journey.
We had a lot. I told people, you know, just for us to want to go to one of those big studios, I always dreamed of it, and now they closed. I can't remember the name of it. Out of Charlotte.
Reflections.
I was like, one day I'm gonna be able to go to Reflections, and I think it was like what, $200.
You got down there. I think you went. You did get down there, right?
Man, but it was way cheaper by then. But like now, we can just do all this stuff at home in our rooms. Back then, you had to save up if you wanted to go to one of those big places, and you were going to spend a good $1,000 on one session. You made,
absolutely
in the big places, you know.
Yeah. They had Reflections, and they had Reflections in Charlotte. They had The Process in Greensboro,
Oh, yeah, I
Acoustic
remember
Creations
Process.
in Greensboro, and it was like they were hidden. They were like way out in the woods somewhere.
Right.
You know, Reflections was downtown, but
would
these other
never
ones were
know.
like way isolated, right? Because these were actually because I remember Fantasia recorded at The Process in Greensboro. She
Is she?
did
I didn't know that.
yeah, one of the songs that she's that's still playing now, that she did that at The Process. And I was like, I think we went to The Process right before it shut down. They were literally shutting its doors when they had boxes and stuff they were closing out.
Mm.
And we had a set in there, man. So we've been doing this thing a minute for you people listening, and we know the ins and outs of how this stuff gets done. And I mean, is it easier? Yes, but the best practices remain. It's the same process.
Yeah.
It's the same process.
And when you were talking a minute ago, I had something close by. Here's a cassette.
Yeah,
that
put
I
it closer.
did.
Put it closer.
Oh,
This
can
is
you?
in blur. There you go.
Too provocative. Just still kind of blurry.
Yeah.
But here's a cassette, and then here's a CD. There's something
Yeah.
that says Eckers Records on it, but I have nothing to play it on. Because we got this stuff and can't even play it on. Now, I do have.
Crazy.
I had a CD player somewhere, and so no, something came up.
Yeah.
CD player, and then I do have a cassette player somewhere, but I had the stuff, had to have it converted to digital.
Yeah.
So that made it something different, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 or 4 DVD players in my house now, and we don't even use them. And I think we showed our wedding video to a couple of friends a couple of months ago. That's the first time I literally have used that DVD player in almost 5 years. I didn't even know if it was going to work.
And mine is on. I have to get mine. What you call it?
Transferred.
To transfer to MP4 because I don't have a DVD player anymore.
Yeah.
And this other Mac is sitting beside it. You can't see it. That one had an actual CD, DVD burner in it, and the whole computer went down because my neighbor used to say, "Hey man, can you make me a CD you want to ride?" And he couldn't. I just burn CDs for him, and I could strip stuff and burn DVD. I can't do it at all now.
No.
So you got to go to a certain some kind of shop that does that.
Dude. So for those of you more history, so Juan and I. When we first started recording back in Winston-Salem State in the 80s, I had a song called Make It Funky For Me. Juan had a song called Move the Crowd. And we were working together in the studio at the same time, and we decided, hey, why don't we collaborate? And my song was the B-side of his song, Move the Crowd, on a cassette. And we would go to the clubs. We went to Club Zero, and we tell him, play this. And man, we dropped that thing, man, and Make It Funky For Me. Crowd went wild, man. It was... They moved the crowd went wild. Those are the only ways you can get your stuff heard. What, no streaming? No. And dude, I remember that, to add to your story, the only way to make your music digital back then was to put it on a DAT tape, a digital audio tape. And I was recording out of a studio out in North Winston with Mike Healy, and God rest his soul. And had it on DAT tape, and I said, I just have to hear this on a CD. Like you said, Juan, I went, the only place, this was before CD burners people had started putting them in the computers and stuff. The only place that was able to burn a CD in Winston-Salem was in Clemens. It was at this high-end audio store. And I took that DAT player to that store, and it took an hour and a half for it to burn, man. And I kept that CDR for years, man. I probably still have it. And that was the only digital copy that I had of that song for.
And back then it cost you like $30 to burn.
Yeah. And the only reason he let me do it was because they hadn't used it yet. I said, I got something, and they said, if you can go get us something to burn. They didn't even have anything to burn because it was such a new technology, man. And they burnt it for me for free. Man, I mean, we have been literally through history with this technology from its inception.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, man, that's it.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and before I go, I remember I wanted to show you. I didn't have it up last time. Now I have it up. Give me a second. I wanted to show you the plugins, the very popular plugins that people are using nowadays. And if I can get it, to show. I don't know where it is. Okay, here it is. So I remember I told you I was going to show you the ones that I use, and let me share. Let me get back to Zoom. All right, and where's my share button? Okay, share. So these plugins right here. So the CLA 2A, that was one that is like an industry standard, and Waves makes it. This is an emulation. Waves makes this, and you can get it for like $34, $35. It's a very good plugin. They replicated the technology and the algorithms very well. I use this to give a lot of punch on my basses and my vocals. And on Final Mix, the CLA 76 is an industry standard that's used in studios. This is like for final mixes. The SSL, remember the SSL board? Remember Dr. Dre was the first one to do hip hop on a big SSL enterprise board. This is the emulation for that one. I've used that. APIs, they are industry standard. And again, the Fatso, we talked about the Fatso. So in the mix process, if you want a go-to plugin, those are the ones. So I would recommend whoever is watching this, your students and all, that's the takeaway. That if they want to get that sound, that big industry sound, these are the places you can go to get them.
Oh yeah, yeah, appreciate that. I like I said, I have some of those. I don't have Fatso. I have a couple other things. I have Gem tape. It gives it an analog tape type that it bumps up the sound. But I had to go through and show you some of the stuff I have. But yeah, man.
Yeah, and even if you don't have it, I put in this right here. I'm going to share again. Logic equivalents to the CLA 2A. And it'll tell you. Let me show you. It'll tell you what you can do in Logic or Pro Tools to get that sound. Let me show you. Let me share right quick. So yeah, I just put in what's an equivalent, and it'll just tell you. It'll say how do you use the stock compression and click the circuit drop down menu and hit Vintage Opto. So if I go here and I go to, and for you just go into your compressor and I go to Vintage Opto. This is similar to the CLA 2A. So Apple has already done its due diligence in trying to make a compressor that's just like what I just showed you. So you don't have to even go buy it, right? You just follow what Google tells you on, and then follow the things that the way to set it, and you don't even have to go spend that $35. You've already got it. And I'm sure if I, like for instance, if I said Pro Tools equivalent, it'll find it and tell you. There you go. You have something called the Bomb Factory. So if you go in there, I've never used Pro Tools. So you go in there and you use these different compressors, just the free alternative, Analog Obsession LA. You don't need to go buy those. You can use, and they're just as good. So we have the technology, man. We just need to be able to take advantage of it and be smart.
You got to learn by using it and seeing what's good, what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, just be smart and then experiment. Right, make mistakes. Please make mistakes. If nothing else, for your students, break it. Break it. Right. Make the bass too fat. Make the sub rattle your speakers. Do you know how many, how many car stereos I've gone through?
Oh yeah,
yeah, blowing speakers.
Boots it up, and that was the other thing we didn't talk about before. Final mix. You think you got it down, and you go to the car. Zip,
nope. Nope.
Well, I would hit the button from the radio to what I'm playing, and then
an A/B test. Right. You should not have your mix is great. Well, first of all, the thing is your mix is not going to be as loud as what's on the radio because they got their own technology to make it loud, and that's what mastering is for. But if you turn down your radio and listen to it, and then go to your mix and then turn it up to about the same volume, listen to the things in the mix. Is your bass hitting like their bass is hitting? Is your snare hitting like are your vocals standing on top of the mix? Can you hear every word of your vocalist? That's a big mistake that people make, where their vocalists start going under the music. So it's technique, man. You're not trying to match what they do. You're trying to find those that it's called dynamics. The dynamics that are working.
All right.
All right.
Brother. Appreciate it, man. Hey, listen, we'll do another one some other time too, man.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And this
man.
is for y'all that don't know, Dr. Forrest McPeters got that doctorate.
That's right. That's
Appreciate
right.
it, man.
I'm
And
glad
we'll
I could help, man. Let's go ahead and we'll stop it and hope you get
Okay.
this video and work it out.
Okay, appreciate it. Listen.
No problem, man.
Okay, we'll see you later then.
All right, then.